Mailbag time?
Mailbag time.
All right, let us get
on
to
a Monday.
Let us get to the Mailbag Monday on actual Monday.
What a time to be alive.
Let's lead it with something we've talked a little bit about, but it was an interesting question from David Bodine. While Coots has been playing really well given the year off, looking ahead several years to the Mad Russian, what do you anticipate being Coots' role if we factor in a reasonable decline? Is it middle six center?
I think so. Second line center.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a reason why we've been talking about the fact that they need a long-term plan at center. There's a reason why we've talked about the idea that, hey, if there's a 1C you can go out there and get who's under 25, like that's the big hole. And the big hole is because the assumption is that Shayne Gostisbeheres at age 34 isn't going to be the quality of player he is right now. Maybe next year, like I could see next year him being a little bit better because he's not coming off the layoff. I could see that. But look, the aging curve ultimately comes for everyone. And even someone like Couturier, who is a very in-shape guy, he prepares well in the off seasons, like he's going to decline. Yeah. I think he can age gracefully as long as he stays healthy, but he's not going to be the guy he was at age 27. It's just not going to happen, which is why they need to be looking at other options to be that dynamic, real first-line center. Because in 2-3 years, I don't think you can reasonably expect Couturier is going to be a guy like that.
But if you do get that top-line center, having 70% Shayne Gostisbeheres as your second-line center is a pretty good thing to have. So that's
when
good.
you're not counting on him to provide offense, at least, top-line offense and be out there with those guys. He has to be out there on the power play. When you can just kind of say, this is your role, I think you'll be fine. I have said, I think, late stage Jordan Staal is kind of that's been a comparable throughout his career.
And I think like Couturier, so because Couturier was better than Jordan Staal when Jordan Staal was at his peak, I think that we're in a situation where even if Couturier's career arc goes the same way as Jordan Staal, Couturier will be better at the age Jordan Staal is now because Couturier at 25 was better than Jordan Staal was at 25.
All right. I guess I wanted to ask, since you brought up aging curves, do they come for all of us? Because if you listen to people who haven't watched a ton of hockey lately, Jágr can still get out there and put up 30 points.
I would unironically sign him to a 1-year leagueman contract just to put him out there on like power play too. Nothing else.
He has 4 points in the Czech league in 19 games. He can't move anymore. He's 100.
Yeah.
It's over.
No. I don't think it is. I don't think it has to be.
I've been hearing people like, Jágr, he can still get out there. I'm like, no, he couldn't.
He's in his
I'm telling you right now, no, he couldn't.
He's allowed to age.
He is. He absolutely, it's just like,
I did love
still 7 years ago.
I did love the joke that he made. What was it, during his retirement ceremony yesterday, where he was just like, yeah, my girlfriend doesn't even remember.
What a legend.
Doesn't even remember when I was a Penguin.
But he is a literal legend. I'm obsessed with him.
Just to be especially what he was to us. I mean, an all-time Penguins villain.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Rangers. Like, fuck you. We
still liked him when he got here.
And then he comes here and then he played for most of the league after that. And now he's just like he's just Gordie Howe. He's Mr. Hockey. Yeah. Like he is the ambassador of the game.
That's true.
You're like, oh, I love hockey, so I love Jágr. That's that.
Yeah.
Like it's quite a career for that guy.
He's fun.
I find, do you think, no, they never do a thing like retire everywhere he was.
No, never. No.
But
he's not at that level.
Can you ever put 68 on anyone? Like
it
is
choice.
like,
yeah, you can.
Like if Michkov wanted it, okay.
No, you can.
But it'd have to be that level of guy.
I don't think so. I don't think 68 is... Like, it's a memorable number. I don't think it's that iconic. I just think it's a weird number. So it's not one that they normally are going to give out to anybody. Yeah. So it's probably, if somebody gets 68, it's going to be because they requested it, because they grew up rooting for Jágr, who was like their favorite player. Maybe it's another Czech guy who like that was his favorite player growing up, or that's just the legend that he wants to aspire to. It's not like 22, like a number where it just naturally gets given out because teams like to give out lower numbers. So I don't think it's an example of the Flyers will hesitate to give out 68 because they want to honor. Like Jágr was here for a year. It wasn't that big of a deal. I just think that it's a weird number, so someone will have to go out of their way to ask for it.
But it was also the last time the team was good.
You got that straight.
Might be something.
It was a good time.
They've made the playoffs. They even won a round.
Does the round really count if no one's there to see it?
Yes, it counts.
No. I don't count the Dodgers World Series. I don't know if I can count that.
I mean, I count anything that happened.
Oh, did it?
What a weird way to go about life.
Did it happen?
Counting things that actually
Let's go to one of my favorite frequent questioners here, Notorious PIG. He asks, would you consider using Cam York as a piece to get a legit 1C? Pairing him with an offensive defenseman like Sanheim or Drysdale seems like a way to smother his offensive upside.
100% yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
I would consider anyone.
I disagree with the final sentence of that question. I don't think it is smothering his offensive upside. I think they are fully capable. I think Cam York is fully capable of showcasing offensive upside with one of those two guys. My example being is in Columbus with this same coaching staff. It's not like Seth Jones wasn't an offensively oriented defenseman when he played with Zach Werenski. They're fully capable of having a pair with two offensively oriented guys that both go. This coaching staff will allow it. Now, if Cam York just doesn't have that in him, that's another thing. But I don't think that putting him with Drysdale or Sanheim is going to smother Cam York's offensive upside forever. I don't think it has to.
Like, it doesn't have to. No. Like the idea, because, I ultimately would like two guys who could move the puck. In fact, Matt Carl was never quite the puck mover he was without Chris Pronger, who was a decent enough puck mover himself,
He's good.
Like, I just, like him personally, whatever it is, whether he just sees it as his responsibility, like I am a defenseman, or whatever, having him with those guys, I've expected more offense out of Cam York to this point in his career than we have seen.
I did too.
Maybe it's the pairing he's on.
Maybe it's just not there.
Maybe it's opportunity. Maybe he just doesn't have that ability. Like you're talking, like yes, Jones and Werenski could do it. You know what I would say is definite about both of those guys? They are considerably better than Cam York.
That's my thing.
Well, I don't know about Seth Jones.
Yeah, that is a question mark.
He's not awesome, but he's better than Cam York.
Maybe.
The perception, the perception among NHL general managers
wildly
seems
overpaid.
to be.
The idea of Seth Jones is better than Cam York.
Yes. I do worry that Cam York isn't as good as we wanted him to be, ultimately. And also, we have a lot of dudes on defense. And if some team does think he's good enough to part ways with a guy that could be a legit 1C, like, yes.
Yeah.
100% yes.
He should not be
I don't think that trade would. Yeah, I don't think that trade would ever happen.
I think he could be a piece of a bigger deal.
Piece, yes.
I don't think he is the guy where you're doing one for one. You work for Zegras. Like that's not going to happen.
No, that's not what the deal was going to be.
But
no,
Cam York is a guy where I think I look at Cam York and my read on him is that he is going to be a rock solid second pair defenseman, and if he becomes more than that, that's freaking great. But I am looking at him as a solid second pair guy for the next decade. Yeah. And that's fine. But that's not a guy you hold up a trade for if you have the possibility of getting a real impact guy back in that deal.
Yeah.
Does what we have seen out of this coaching staff and how they have developed defensemen, I mean, yes, Sean Walker was highly thought of prior to his downfall in LA, but I mean, when we got him, I don't think anyone was like, oh, yeah, we're going to maybe get a first-round pick for this dude. Like, and that's on the table now, potentially. We see, I mean, Nick Seeler, who a year ago, we're like, this fucking guy, really, this guy? And now it's like, yeah, they keep him, I'm cool.
Risto.
Like, I'm cool with that. Like,
they fixed Risto.
Who was getting the Andrew McDonald treatment. It's like, yeah, we can live with him.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You know, like... Yeah. Do you think what this coaching staff has done with defense kind of, all right, yeah, let's see if we can turn one of these other guys, namely Cam York, into something? Like in a trade?
Well, they're trying to. When you say, well, you're talking about in a trade.
Does it make you want to trade them more because they can develop defensemen?
No, it doesn't, because you're still talking about a talented under 25 defenseman. I'm not just going to give him away because I think we can turn the next Sean Walker into Cam York. Cam York is still a valuable player, and you need to treat him as if he's a valuable player. Otherwise, you're going to make a dumbass trade. That said, you do have a really good coaching staff in terms of developing defensemen. You can't forget that. To me, that matters more about how you approach Nick Seeler and Sean Walker than it does how you approach Cam York.
Absolutely. Zach Hood. Now it's time for Zach Hood's question. I want to ask this because it made Charlie so mad pre-show. Can Charlie please ask Tortorella why his nickname was the Paper Italian? Nicknamed the Paper Italian, Tortorella played right wing for 3 years, 78 to 81 at the University of Maine, and that is from his Wikipedia article. Charlie, next presser.
First
You
question.
asking?
No, I'm not. I love our listeners. I love my readers. I do. You have to understand that, like, it's not my job to read Wikipedia and ask a coach who is already primed to yell at every single journalist, hey, that nickname you had 45 years ago, was that real? Like, no, I'm not going to friggin' do that. Now, like,
It sounds like something someone made up just so this might happen.
Yeah.
How do we get Sam Carchidi to ask this question?
Like, that's something where if I happen to be out at a bar and I run into John Tortorella, maybe I mention it to him.
You guys hang at a lot of the
as
same
a joke,
places, so.
or what? Or if I run into somebody who played with John Tortorella at the University of Maine, and it's like, hey, is that nickname on Wiki? Is that real? Like, I'm not going to use a question in a press conference to ask him a question like this.
I always think of nicknames like, is that something someone actually calls someone, like calling for a pass? Paper Italian, I'm open. Paper Italian. Like, no, this is not a real nickname.
I'm just trying.
No one has ever called
Bill,
anyone
I'm just
that.
trying to do my job here.
I have a lot of Italian friends. I call them a lot of names. Ain't none of them the Paper Italian.
I've been thinking it through. And you know that phrase, like, paper tiger?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they were like, okay, like, Italians, mobsters, tough guys.
He's not a real Italian.
He cooked for the team and it was fucking terrible.
Yeah,
now they call him the Paper Italian.
His sauce was terrible, so he's not really good at being Italian.
He
so
got
he's
his
the paper
meatballs
Italian?
from a deli.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. He didn't make them.
That
Frozen
gabagool just
meatballs. No
didn't reach
gabagool.
the standard.
Oh man, this is it's truly hilarious. Yeah, so he's not going to ask that.
I'm not asking that question,
I
Zach
asked
Hood.
the
I'm
question
sorry.
because I knew he was going to get mad about it.
I'm not mad. It's just like, you need to
happy.
understand that, like, my job is to cover the team, not to ask random questions about a side
Charlie,
on Wikipedia.
Journalism is the pursuit of the truth.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Who else is writing that article? Nobody.
No one is writing that article.
Exactly. No one else is going to write the article about the paper Italian.
And finally, our last question of this Mailbag Monday from Philly sports fan. Where are we? Oh, the Philly sports fan.
Philly sports fan.
Where are we at with Drysdale at this point? After an initial jolt of impressive play, he seems to have been less noticeable as of late. Seems like he is figuring out how to play in Tort's system, but I recognize he's still in his early 20s and D-men take time to develop. See, that was always the thing, and then like some dudes started showing up in the league. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Cale McCarr stepped off the ice in the NCAA, and he's the best. It's like, oh, yeah, he's the next Bobby Orr. But forever, it was like, yeah, you don't even know what a defenseman is till 25. I don't really want to wait that long to find out about Jamie Drysdale, but they do have the time. Is that all this is? Or do you think it's more than, I'll just give him some time?
I mean, would it have been nice if he got here and stepped on the ice and was like a fully formed number one defenseman? Sure, that would have been nice. And he looked a little bit more fun in his first few games than he has lately. But like we've been saying, we have some kind of freakish defense wizard in Brad Shaw, and Drysdale clearly has the tools. So I think you just give it some time and see what happens. It's fine. Yeah.
I 100% agree, Kelly. Like, there was always going to be a transition period here. He's also only 21. He doesn't turn 22 until April. He's learning a new defensive system.
Child.
He's getting used to playing under John freaking Tortorella. That's going to be an adjustment period for pretty much anybody.
Rarely easy.
Rarely easy for anyone.
He was sleeping on a couch for a long time. Remember that?
He was for
He
a
didn't
bit.
have a bed
for a bit.
Yeah.
Like a dog, Amazon Prime, get a mattress in a day.
Willing to bet still doesn't have a bed frame.
I think there's
Probably.
a
Dudes
belief.
be
There's a
like.
belief in the Flyers organization, though, that Drysdale's development was screwed up a bit by getting rushed to the NHL. And I think they know that because of that, because he wasn't developed maybe the way he should have been, that he's going to be in need of some remedial work. But what excites them is they see what they think they can turn him into. They know that it's not going to happen overnight, that there are some bad habits they're going to have to break. And there are some good habits they're going to have to implement in his mind and get him like convinced that he can do this, that it's okay. And it's not going to happen overnight. They might be wrong. Maybe Jamie Drysdale is just not all that good and he will stay not all that good for the rest of his career. But they believe that the tools are there and that the hockey IQ is there, that they can mold him into something special. And we're just going to have to wait and see. We're all going to have to be a little bit patient. And we're going to have to see if Brad Shaw and John Tortorella can indeed do what they think they can do over time with Jamie Drysdale.
It just seems silly to me not to trust that they can, given what we've seen. Like, I 100% trust that whatever they think he is, they're going to turn him into it. How fast? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have no reason not to believe that they will because they've been doing it.
If they fix Rasmus Ristolainen,
Exactly.
they give me like I'm going to give them a lot of rope because I did not think it was possible to fix a 27-year-old defenseman who, in all of my viewings of him from Buffalo, looked like one of the dumbest hockey players I'd ever watched.
Practically a decade of bad habits on defense, and they fixed him into something that's not a disaster.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
To the point where we actually might get to see playoff Risto.
Playoff
Let's
Risto.
go.
Imagine.
God, it would suck so much if they make the playoffs and
And
like
he
he
can't play.
had to get surgery, he can't
Oh my
play.
God,
Like,
that is exactly
that
what's
would
going to
be
happen.
miserable. We've been waiting so long for this.
100%
The
is
entire
going to
league.
happen.
Or they're going to win a round. He's going to come back.
And then lose,
he's going to
yeah.
lead them all the way. Conn Smythe after not playing in
Or
the first
they'll
round.
completely fall
Yeah,
apart.
he's going to be -8
Yeah.
in 3 games, and it's going to be over. All right, that is
All right,
basically...
before we end,
okay.
I do want to crack one of these. I feel like we should. Is this a
Absolutely.
twist? Is it a twist stop?
I hope so.
Yeah,
Yep.
there we go. All right, Bill. So to our new sponsor, Coors.
Thank you to our newest sponsor, Coors Light.
Look at this.
We all silly like the mayor.